Well, hello Heidelberg, Colonel Bill Butcher, Commander U.S. Army Garrison Baden-Wuerttemberg here in Heidelberg, Germany. Hey, first I want to just wish everyone a happy birthday. 234 years of independence that we celebrated on the 4th of July. We had a great time here at Patrick Henry Village here in Heidelberg. I hope wherever you were, you equally had a good time. Hey look, this week's video blog is on the Army Family Housing Policy. As many of you know, this past March, USAG signed a revised Army Family Housing Policy stipulating three main points. First, that we'll put E1s through E6s in our best possible housing, best available housing, and with a goal of housing 100% of E1s through E6s on our installation. Second, that E7 and above, up to 10% of E7s and above would be housed on our installation. And then third, that we'd house all key and essential personnel on the installation. And because I'm not the expert on this, I brought him with me today. Let me introduce to you Mr. Gary Elmore, our Chief of Housing Management here in Heidelberg. Gary, thanks for being here today. I just want to talk a little bit about this policy so that we can make sure that our community is informed and they know that whether they're coming here or they've been living here, how the new policy affects them. So I'd like to throw a couple scenarios at you.
All right, sir.
All right, I'm an E1 through E6. I'm an E6 and I'm arriving here in Heidelberg with my family. What's the procedure like?
Well, you come in to the installation, you sign in, you report to the housing office within 3 days usually, unless there's a holiday thrown in there. Once you report in, we find you the best available housing we have on post, and we really look for the best available housing.
Okay.
We look for something that we've renovated recently, something with a decent kitchen, bathrooms, and space.
Okay, fantastic. Now, do I get a choice? Do I look at one house or a couple houses? What's the normal routine there?
We generally try to give you a choice of at least two.
At least two. Okay.
That isn't always possible depending on in the summer rush, but we try to do two.
Okay, and that's housed in accordance with Army Regulation 420-1.
420-1, yes, sir.
But as I hear you, our intent is to give them the best house possible within those those categories.
Yeah, we have buildings that will basically sit vacant because they have not been renovated recently. We'll house people in those only as a last resort and only if they choose to live there.
Great, great. Okay, so another scenario. I'm a captain and I arrive here with my family. How does the new housing policy affect me? Well, what choices do I have?
Well, when you report into housing, we're going to ask your preference, whether you want to live on housing. We're also going to see if we have any of that 10% housing available. If it is, we're going to assign that to you unless your preference is to live off post.
Okay.
If your preference is to live off post, we're going to have you look at our database, pick out a couple of houses to look at. We're going to assign you a counselor. You're going to attend an off-post briefing, and once you've done that and seen those houses, we're going to ask you to choose one of them.
Okay. So you have this contract that helps support bringing families out to look at the facilities, so that they and then going through the entire process with them.
Yes, sir. They provide taxi service. They provide lease translation service. It's a pretty good program. Fantastic.
Okay, so I know what you're asking out there, Heidelberg. What if I've already moved here and I'm on Army Family Housing now? How does this policy affect me? So I want to talk a little bit about that, Gary. Let's start with a bit of the obvious. If I'm an E7 or above and I presently live on Mark Twain Village, Patrick Henry Village, or elsewhere on an Army installation, how does the policy affect me?
Well, you're satisfactorily housed right now. But if your desire is to go off post, you're going to get a 05 level or above commander to endorse your request. Once that arrives at the housing office, we're going to look at it, and we're going to again go through the same scenario. Assuming you have that endorsement, we're going to assign you to a counselor, provide transportation, and help you find a place off post. The important thing to remember is that this is a convenience move, however, and so the government is not paying for that move. You're already satisfactorily housed, so if you want to move, it's going to be at your expense.
Okay, so I got that. If I'm an E7 or above and I live on Army Family Housing today, I want to move off. I'm going to go to my commander, 05 level or higher. I'm going to have he or she write a memorandum. I'm going to think through my finances, I think is what you're telling me, to see if I have the finances available to both afford an off-post move and then also maintain an off-post residence. All on my dime, if you will, except that you'll provide taxi service and the same sort of lease translation, all those other components to make sure that once they're found a house, we've supported them effectively to get in and out of it. Now, I'm an E4, and I want to do the same thing. I presently live on Army Family Housing, Patrick Henry Village, or elsewhere. What's the procedure for me?
Well, it's a little more restrictive. Again, we're going to ask you for the endorsement. You're going to provide that endorsement to the housing office. The housing office is going to review it and make a recommendation up to you, to Colonel Butcher, or to his deputy, and you're going to make the final decision on whether that's a compelling enough reason to move off post.
Okay, so I got that too, and I hope you do. E4, E1 through E6, if your desire is to move off the installation and you live on it now, you'll need to make those same arrangements through your commander, and then that will come to me for approval, and I'll do that based off of whether or not it meets the needs of our exceptions to policy. E7 and above, you grant. From E1 through E6, I grant. Well, Gary, thanks so much for what you do in support of soldiers, civilians, and family members and getting them housed here in our community. We appreciate what you and your team do for us. And thanks to you, Heidelberg. Look forward to seeing you next week where we'll talk about another subject important to all of us here in the Heidelberg community. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.